Welcome back to another episode of That Sure Was a Movie. Today we've got an exciting episode. We are going to be talking about Thor, the new Thor Love and Thunder. Talking about Miss Marvel, first season. Well, the only season probably. I don't really know. And MCU tier list. So we've got a fun little tier list coming towards the end of the episode. If you're listening on audio, might be more fun to watch on YouTube. We have some visuals over there for the tier list. So hop over to YouTube. We have a video podcast as well. So
might be hard to keep track of everything in your head while you're listening to it. So watch the tier list.
Yeah, it'll be fun. So yeah, let's start these off how we kind of always do. What's going on in the world of movies and television?
Alrighty, so I feel like not a lot has happened in the movie news world in the past few days. I mean, I might just be wrong and not been looking in the right places, but we have a few things that came up today. So Peter Dinklage is going to be starring in the Hunger Games prequel that is set to come out next November. He's playing a character named Casca Highbottom, I guess. I don't really remember what role that character is in the story, but that's who he's going to be playing. In addition to that, we have Adam Scott joining Dakota Johnson in Sony's Madam Web movie.
Yeah, that's interesting. Like Sony Marvel movie, loaded cast. What's going on? Like we've got who we got in that movie? It's Adam Scott. We've got
Dakota Johnson, Emma Roberts, and Sydney Sweeney.
Looking promising. A good cast does not always mean a good movie. In fact, it's a lot of the times it means a bad movie.
Yeah, look at the cast for Cats, and that was awful.
But I will say that rule typically applies when there's like 15 big names, like Don't Look Up and Cats. Hopefully not Oppenheimer.
Oh, I hope not.
That's got about 30 big names.
Same with Barbie too.
Barbie is not that much though. It's got people, but it's not that many. I don't think.
Well, maybe not like bigger names, but just like more familiar people, I guess.
People, it seems like. But I feel like Oppenheimer's got more big names. I don't know. Maybe it's just people I'm thinking of about an Oppenheimer that I'm excited about, thinking that they're big, like Roger Kefley and Josh from Drake and Josh. But which is so insane to me, that they're in a Christopher Nolan movie.
Wait, they're both in it?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
You learn something new every day.
Insane.
Well, you've probably told me that before and I just forgot it, but
I told you that as soon as I found out that they're happening. But
yeah, so in addition to that, we have a big update about Prime Video. Amazon is finally changing the user interface for Prime Video.
Much needed.
Yes.
Yeah, that is a good thing. I hate Prime Video's interface.
Yeah, it's not good.
Next, we need Paramount Plus to change it up a little bit because I do not enjoy that either. It is better than Prime Video, but
yeah,
at least you can sort by like Nickelodeon, CBS, all that on Paramount, which Paramount Plus has so little that you know what you're looking for anyway, so it's really not a big issue.
Right.
So, I mean, if people have Paramount Plus, they probably have like one thing. I literally have it for Survivor and for Big Brother. That's
yeah,
all I have it for.
Pretty much.
The Nickelodeon, entire Nickelodeon shows are a good plus. Great plus. I don't really watch it as much as I probably want to, just because I watch so many new things. But yeah, any other big movie news going on?
Yeah, Dune Part 2 has started filming. I believe they started today, and it's officially supposed to start on the 21st, which is when we're recording this a few days from now. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see how Part 2 is going to be because
I like Dune. No. Am I excited for the sequel? Absolutely.
Yeah, the interesting thing is like I wanted to read the book before I saw the movie, And so I only got up to the part where part one ended in the movie. And that took me like 6 months to get through because it was just so slow and boring and nothing happened. But then the second part that they're covering in part two, I read in like 2 days. So I have higher hopes than I did for part one, I guess. But yeah, so that's supposed to be coming out next October. Oh, next November, November 2023. Then the last thing that I found is the creator of Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends is working on rebooting both of those.
Whoa. I didn't know about this.
I lost all of my words for 2 seconds. Sorry, folks. But yeah, it just came out a couple hours ago that Craig McCracken is bringing those back.
Whoa. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends was such a good show.
I never
Oh
watched
my
it.
goodness. Wow. That's interesting. That's interesting. That is not something I would have expected to get a reboot.
Yeah. Whoa. Hold on. I just looked further down on this article. It says the CW is working on a live action reboot of Powerpuff Girls.
Oh, that was announced like years ago. It was with it's Chloe Bennett, I think, from Agents of Shield.
Well, I missed that bit of news.
I think it like got canceled or not canceled because I never aired, but like they were like got out of development or something. And I think they must have just announced that it's still in development. Something weird has been going on with that show, but yeah, I don't know. Anything with the CW is usually not worth checking out these days, unless it's Riverdale.
Yeah, it's always an entertaining time with Riverdale.
That show's so bad that it's like the greatest show of all time.
Yeah,
they definitely know what they're doing in that writer's room.
Oh God, what I would do to be in that writer's room sometimes.
Yeah, anything goes. The only bad ideas in a Riverdale episode are something that makes sense.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. But I've got some movie news. Here we go. So this is some really interesting movie news. Kind of pretty. Well, honestly, one of the biggest things I've heard in a while. Quentin Tarantino says his son has only seen one movie, Despicable Me 2.
Yes.
Also, we've got another Tarantino update. I'm going to quote him. He says, I actually do like Peppa Pig. I watch it a lot. I'll say it. Peppa Pig is the greatest British import of this decade.
Yes, we got Peppa back here on the shelf.
Yeah, so
the icon.
Big news in the Tarantino department. That kind of wraps up our movie news, right? Nothing really else going on. There's probably a lot of things that we just forgot about. It's kind of been a busy week. So,
it'll all come out after we're finished recording this podcast, like it always does.
Honestly, yeah, movie news has not been on the top of my list for this week, so I'm kind of yeah, it's okay. But Thor: Love and Thunder, shall we get into it?
We shall.
Let's just start off by saying major spoilers ahead. This is your warning. Spoilers for Thor: Love and Thunder, for Miss Marvel, and every MCU movie. If you're watching an MCU tier list and you haven't seen them, I don't know why you're here. If you're here just wondering what we think about the movies, in case you're interested in the movies, we will be spoiling them. But I'll say I think the MCU is great, so you should watch the MCU if you haven't seen it. We'll get into my thoughts on Phase 4 later in this episode.
Yeah, got some interesting thoughts on that.
But overall, I think the MCU is a fun time, and people sometimes like to take things too seriously, and you got to go into it knowing what it is. It's a fun popcorn movie, as Sean Chandler calls it. And so Thor: Love and Thunder. After Thor Ragnarok being so amazing, honestly one of the best MCU movies there was, and Taika Waititi coming back for it, and Natalie Portman coming back, there's a lot of hype for this movie in the past couple of years. I was so excited when this was announced.
Yeah.
And a few months ago, they released the promo and stuff, all the fun fonts and all that. And I was even more excited. And then the reviews started coming out, and they weren't so great. Actually, I will say the very, very early reviews were great. Then more and more critics started seeing it, and then it's like, oh, this movie's about to be very disappointing and not very good.
Mm-hmm.
And then my expectations went down a little, not a ton, because I still was excited, still was hoping it would be good, but I wasn't thinking it was gonna be a masterpiece. And I saw it, and I was disappointed.
I was already kind of assuming I was going to be disappointed even before it came out. But then as I was seeing all the other reviews of everyone else who had seen it, I got home and got ready to go see it. And I was like, I don't even really want to watch it because I know I'm not going to enjoy it that much. If that makes sense. I don't know. But like, yeah, I wasn't that impressed with it. And it's kind of upsetting after Ragnarok, thinking that the Thor movies might finally be going in a good direction.
Yeah.
And then we got that.
Here's the biggest problem with it. It's trying too much to be a comedy while at the same time telling a dark story with like a villain that's got like a dark storyline to it, and they just don't go together.
Yeah.
Just didn't fit. And Ragnarok was the same. Like it was a comedy, but also had another story going on. But it's just the darkness of this one they were trying to go for. Just like seemed like completely different movies.
Mm-hmm.
And just it didn't work. The comedy didn't work at all for me either. I think Ragnarok's hilarious, but there's like honestly not a single bit or joke that really landed a ton. Like I was laughing at some parts, sure. But like something Sean Chandler talked about on his review, I thought was interesting. It's like, yeah, was I laughing through the whole thing? Yeah, sure. But at what cost? Like, at what cost are you gonna make this like, so much into comedy that you like make the darker parts and this other storyline just not work because of it?
Yeah.
And I think that's a perfect way to put it. Because that's kind of how it was. Like it was funny, but I think they should have either leaned fully into comedy or took it back a little bit. And I think going full comedy is okay because the way that Thor was literally introduced, I thought Thor 1 was hilarious. That's like my first impression of Thor. Like Thor is not that great of a movie, but I think it's hilarious. So like that's kind of his character. Like people
Mhm.
like complain like Infinity War Thor was so like cool and all that, and like they're turning him into a joke, but like that's kind of how he always was. He was always just like goofy. So yeah, it's not so much I have a problem with leaning into comedy. It's just didn't work for me.
Mm. Yeah, it had a few moments for me that I was like, oh, that's kind of funny, but there were never any times that I heard a lot of other people laughing during the movie. I thought
Yeah,
was interesting.
yeah. The screaming goats, I thought that was very good.
It was funny like the first time they were introduced, and then after that, I was like, okay, I've kind of had enough with the screaming ghosts.
It's funny because I've heard that said by pretty much everybody. But for me, it's like the first time they did it, I'm like, that's kind of stupid. But then like the seventh time they did, I'm like, there's one part where it just like worked for some reason. Like later in the movie, it's like, okay, that
Yeah.
counts. That was kind of hilarious because that was like way more out of place than the other ones. But
Yeah. I knew as soon as they introduced those screaming goats, I'm like, they're about to overuse the crap out of these.
yeah. A lot of Revenge of the Sith parallels in this, to be honest.
Oh boy.
Uh, Gore wants to be Anakin so bad, right?
Wasn't that your letterbox review?
Like, what's my comparison? It's literally been so long since I've seen this movie that I literally forget every point I had to make just now after what I just said. Gore wants to be Anakin. Why does he want to be Anakin? Not only not just the men, but the women. Most importantly, the children.
Ah,
Yeah.
okay.
Also, he looked like Anakin's burnt face in Return of the Jedi. Um, why else is he Anakin? I can't remember. It's been literally so long since I've seen this movie. Well, I'll think of it later. But love can't save you, Jane. Only your new powers will. Um, Jane Foster taking advice from Anakin. Love can't save you, Padme. Only my new powers will. Yeah, so Jane thinks that she can save herself by becoming Thor.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't work, just like it didn't work in Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah, there was something that I thought about that whole thing during the movie was it reminded me of in Stranger Things 4 when Elle just says no to Max dying when she describes how she became the mighty Thor.
Oh, I was gonna get into that too.
When she's just like,
That
yeah,
was
I came to New Asgard and I found the hammer and then boom, I was Thor. I'm like,
yeah.
okay,
So
and
my biggest worry going into this movie was, okay, how are they gonna make just like this normal human into
uh-huh.
like a god? Like, how are they gonna explain that? Like, is it just gonna not work and be stupid? But I'm like, we'll probably figure something out. They like didn't even try.
No.
Like they just said, oh, it just happened. Like what? Come on. Like you're
Yeah.
come on. That's just lazy. Like
Yeah.
that's really bad. That's really bad.
Yeah, I that was like the one thing, or that was the one thing when I got out of the movie that I was like, I need to write this down because I have to talk about this on the podcast. But
Yeah,
that that just annoyed me because I was just like, really? There's
that's
no detail whatsoever as to how you got there other than you found the hammer and boom.
yeah, that was really disappointing. Um,
Mhm. We didn't even see like a transformation either.
no, like she just like looked at the hammer and all of a sudden the next scene she's like,
It's like full Thor garb and everything. Like,
whatever, who cares at this point? Um, I care. I want it to be good. Okay, so it was weird because I still don't know how confident I am like giving this a score because like the whole movie I'm like deciding, do I like this scene or is this bad?
Mhm.
Because part of me like was kind of enjoying it, but I wasn't. Like, I wasn't miserable, but it just wasn't really enjoying it. But also it was like kind of cool. I feel like I was enjoying parts of it, but I wanted it to do something more, I guess.
Yeah, I kind of felt the same way, I think.
Yeah, I will say I hated what they did with Jane's powers and how they kind of introduced that. But I did like what they did with Jane a lot.
Hmm.
I was worried that Jane just wouldn't work with the way they explained the powers and how that worked, which yeah, my worries I guess were for a reason. But they did handle the character well. The whole like cancer stuff I thought was great. And I think Jane as Thor worked. I think she had cool scenes. Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
like everything with Jane, other than the fact that they just don't explain how she got her powers. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, it was all fine. Gore was great in the little scenes he had, I guess. Wasn't in it that much. Christian Bale, amazing,
Hmm.
but just it was the wrong movie for this character.
Yeah,
Like,
it was strange.
like that was not the right movie to use that character.
Yeah.
And if you were going to use gore, you should not have had the comedy like it was.
Hmm.
It just didn't feel like the same movie.
Yeah, I the whole during the whole movie I was like, this just feels really strange.
Yeah.
And those moments that were trying to be comedic relief just felt odd.
Mhm. Yeah,
And,
it's
and I don't know.
I don't know. Here's a spoiler. If you're at this point in the video, we already gave you a spoiler warning, but I'm gonna give you another one for the post-credit scene.
Hmm.
First one, we've got a cameo, and who shows up? Roy Kent from Ted Lasso. And that was so exciting to see that actor. What's the dude's name? I don't even know, but it's Roy Kent. And
Wait, what was the first post-credit scene? I
one
don't
with
remember that.
face Zeus and who's he playing? Hercules?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Roy Kent. I am so excited to see him in the MCU. I absolutely love him in Ted Lasso. So, and I love that he's playing a villain. Seemingly a villain. I don't know.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
that's exciting. Yeah. Um,
I saw there was a lot of discussion on the internet about the second post-credit scene when, spoiler alert, once again, Jane shows up in Valhalla,
mhm.
and people were talking about something related to Loki. I didn't actually read anything because it was before I had seen it, so I was trying to avoid spoilers. Um, did you happen to read anything about that, or
No, that's I was interested in what you were gonna say because like I didn't really see anybody talking about that.
I'm gonna Google that right quick.
Yeah, the first one is like the classic Marvel cameo post-credit scene. The yeah, the mid-credit scene was that. The post-credit scene, yeah, was the one with Jane and Heimdall shows up again, which is cool to see him
Hmm.
back. Um and yeah, that one was like the classic, just like extra little thing, cool little nod to something. Or like, but yeah, it was a cool like way to wrap up both of those characters in the MCU because they both kind of just disappeared. And just
Yeah.
not disappear. Heimdall didn't really disappear. He had a death scene, but like we didn't really see much aftermath after that about him. But yeah.
So basically, the whole thing was that if um Jane was able to wind up in Valhalla, is that where Loki is too? That's about it.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Interesting. We'll see. Yeah,
Okay.
Loki season two is gonna be interesting.
Yeah.
I still don't even remember, to be honest, how Loki even exists. I know the whole time here.
Yeah, I
Like
know.
I know, but it's like everything's still kind of so confusing with the way they've everything that's rolled out post end game has just been
Mhm.
weird, messy, not great
Yeah.
at times. But
Well, did phase four start like right after Endgame, or was there something else?
originally it was going to be Far From Home was the first movie of Phase 4, I believe. But then they changed Far From Home to be the last movie of Phase 3, which makes
Okay.
what would that make the first Phase 4 movie be? Far From Home was a while ago. Um,
Wasn't wasn't Black Widow, was it?
nah,
It was.
was it?
Black Widow, yeah.
Huh. My timeline of everything is so messed up. Yeah, I
And
guess Black Widow was a while ago. Is that
huh. Literally, there's been two things thus far in phase four. Well, no, like three or four maybe in phase four that I've been like, okay, that's good. That's,
Yeah, I'm gonna get into my Phase 4 talk more so when we talk about Miss Marvel a little bit.
okay.
Um, yeah, let's maybe talk about that right before we do our tier list.
Okay.
That'll probably be a good spot leading into that. Um, but yeah, I don't like what they've done post Infinity War and game era.
Hmm.
Especially with Thor.
Yeah.
Um, post Infinity War with Thor. I hated Thor in game.
Oh, I know. Yeah.
Thor was one of my favorite characters. He was probably my favorite. He was my favorite MCU character, actually. Uh,
Interesting.
he's not my favorite Marvel character, but he was my favorite MCU character.
Hmm.
Him and Iron Man, Tony Stark. But yeah, what they did with Thor in Endgame was just annoying. After
Mhm.
that scene in Wakanda with Thor was like the coolest. It was like one of my favorite MCU scenes ever. And then they just he's like a joke in Endgame. It's like not even there. It's just stupid.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, finally he's back. He's finally Thor again. And what do? Oh, they just turn it into like half comedy, half this is cool, but it just doesn't work. I saw somebody on TikTok, I don't know who it was, but they said, which was a great idea, they should have leaned fully into comedy and just made this a mockumentary.
Mm,
Uh,
that
like
that would have been fun.
because Taika Waititi has done mockumentary with What We Do in the Shadows.
Hmm.
I've still yet to see, but I've heard it's amazing. So yeah, like he definitely knows comedy, and I love Taika Waititi's comedy. It just didn't mesh well for me. Again, it wasn't terrible. It just wasn't the best. And um yeah, they had Team Thor was this thing like Marvel rolled out like years ago, which like was little like shorts with like Thor's roommate or something, like mockumentary style, which is
Wait,
really
this was put out by Marvel?
I think so, yeah.
Interesting. I never heard about that.
Yeah, I would say let's play a clip, but the way the Diary of a Wimpy Kid episode went last
Oh,
week,
let's not.
I don't even want to. So look that up on your own. Which is being Disney again. But yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Like to be honest, just make it a mockumentary. Just go full comedy.
Yeah.
Like I mentioned the comedy is what I didn't like about this movie, but it's not I didn't like that they made it a comedy. I just didn't like the way the comedy worked with the
Yeah.
movie. But if they went full like mockumentary, I think that would have been so cool. Because
Mm.
what Phase 4 has been kind of trying to do is doing something different, but none of it's really worked out great because I feel like they're trying to do something different, but at the same time, they're trying to still keep it MCU. But
Mhm.
they just need to go full on what, um, yeah, just what I hate is when it follows the MCU formula. Because as much as I love the MCU leading up to Endgame, at this point it is a little tiring just seeing the same like formulaic plot over and over again.
Mhm.
And here's something nobody's talking about. Um, years ago being like three, uh, and like when Infinity War and Endgame were coming out, everybody was talking about how like Marvel versus DC, it's literally not even a competition. Like
Ah, yes.
Marvel and DC are like so it's the gap is so far. DC's garbage. They're making horrible movies over there. Marvel's making masterpieces. Um, Now it's shifted and it's flipped. It's the opposite.
Mhm.
DC is making quality movies, like amazing, and Marvel is just making bad slash barely passable entertainment.
Yeah.
The Batman, a Marvel movie, the MCU will never do that. I don't know why they need to do that. Where they just make it like actually good quality, like
Mhm.
filmmaking wise, like the Batman cinematography, the score. I know Michael Giacchino did the Thor Love and Thunder score. If you compare that to Batman, like people have said this in the past, Marvel scores are so forgettable.
Yeah.
Except for like Alan Silvestri's stuff, like what he's done with Endgame, like Portals obviously is memorable, but like the
Mhm.
Avengers theme is memorable. Other than that, you can't think of a single score.
No. It's not like, yeah, I don't know. Like if you look at the Batman score, there are tracks that I'm going to pick out that I'm going to be able to remember, but Thor Love and Thunder, I'm not going to be like, "Oh, I remember that track," or "I really enjoyed listening to that one," or
I can literally name like five uh
yeah.
score like titles from the Batman.
Yeah.
Obviously the Batman, the Riddler, Catwoman. Sonata in Darkness,
Hmm.
Can't Fight City Halloween. There you go.
Yeah.
Five. I just named five titles of a score. I can't name a single besides Portals and The
The
Avengers.
Avengers.
That's literally all I can think of. Because
Yeah.
I've never gone back and listened to a Marvel score besides Endgame. And even Endgame, it's only the one score. Scores is interesting too because mentioned DC, um, Joker had honestly one of my favorite scores like in a long, long time. Um, and yeah, just stuff like that you don't get. Like I know a lot of people didn't like Joker, the actual movie. I thought it was good. I definitely liked how it definitely doesn't feel like Marvel-y,
Hmm.
and it's darker and at least has like even if you don't like it, you can agree that it has what's the word? Something to make it stand out and like to make it like its own movie where it's not just like the same as everything else.
Yeah, I do not enjoy Joker,
Yeah.
but I do wish that more Marvel movies were like the Joker or not Joker. Is it just Joker or the Joker?
Um,
Okay. Like Joker or the Batman.
yeah, like at
Because
least
those two stand out.
yeah, like at least they're
Like,
trying to do something different, creative.
mhm.
Um, the Suicide Squad was amazing. Peacemaker, like I don't think there's this like these Marvel shows have been bad.
Mhm.
Uh, like I'm gonna say this right now. I said I'm gonna save my thoughts for later, which I will for the most part. But I'm just gonna say like right now, for the most part, the Marvel shows have been bad. Peacemaker was literally amazing every single episode. Um, and even look at shows like The Boys. That show's amazing too. Obviously, Peacemaker, The Boys, The Suicide Squad, Joker are all like rated R slash TVMA, so they can do more
Mhm.
with that. But still, it's just like it's not even just that. It's not the R rating that's making them good. It's just like the style, the visual style, the writing style, comedy. Obviously, they can do a little more with comedy when it's rated R, but at the same time, it's just still better quality anyway. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know,
Yeah,
but
I think it'd just be interesting for Marvel to take a twist on something and just go full dark with
yeah,
something, which is what I think maybe the closest I could think would be Multiverse of Madness because I went more in the horror direction.
that was
But
see that's the thing. Multiverse of Madness was very Sam Raimi. You could tell they let him kind of do his Sam Raimi thing, but you could definitely still feel the MCU.
Mhm.
And it's basically Sam Raimi took a script that was just bad, not bad. See, I like Multiverse of Madness a little more than most people, but yeah, the plot was the worst part about that, I think. Um, and he took it and created his own visual style and made it interesting, but you could still feel the MCU there.
Mhm.
Um, now, Birds of Prey is another movie that I was going to mention earlier that I forgot. I thought I loved Birds of Prey, and some of the DC universe is a weird and a mess right now. But there's some overlap with some of these movies, but like they don't feel similar at all. The whole Justice League era was like kind of the bad era, and like when they were trying to be the MCU, um, I enjoyed Zack Snyder's Justice League parts of it. So that kind of fixed that. It basically took what the bad Justice League was trying to be an MCU movie and made it passable as that kind of style. But after that, they realized, no, we just need to do our own thing and make these visually and stylistically unique movies. And that's worked great. I've enjoyed almost everything DC has put out recently.
Yeah.
I'm a little worried for Black Adam. As much as I love Dwayne the Rock Johnson, the trailer's not doing anything for me, and it's giving me MCU vibes major.
Yeah.
I'm very interested though to see The Rock because I love The Rock as a superhero. And Noah Centineo in a real movie?
He's in that?
Rom-com? Yeah, he's playing yeah,
Wow, stepping away from the Netflix rom-coms. Look at him go.
yeah. He's playing Adam Smasher.
Oh, I don't
Uh
know who that is, but okay.
so the guy who gets big. Anyway,
Okay.
he's going to be in that movie, and I'm excited to see him because I don't know why he does the movies he does,
Mm,
but he's not bad. He's not a bad actor. I enjoy him. I'm not gonna lie. First of all, To All the Boys I Loved Before, those movies are like actually decent. and most people agree on that. Like those are like the only movies he's done that's decent.
I
And
still need to watch those.
everything else he's done is just like literally the worst thing you've ever seen. And it's like, how does he keep doing these? And to see him as a superhero in a superhero movie is just really intriguing to me.
Oh my goodness. It's funny just like going on his Google thing, like when you Google him and it shows all his movies, and it's just all these Netflix rom-coms with Black Adam in the middle.
Yeah, the funny thing about him is he's made like 3 movies. I think it's 2, but I'm gonna say 3 because it's funnier if I say 3. He's made like 3 movies where the plot is they create a dating app and then it doesn't work out and they get in trouble for creating that dating app or something like that. It's so
That's
funny.
funny.
Like I watched both of those movies. Don't ask me why. To be honest, I just think it's hilarious to watch those movies. Netflix bad rom-coms is it's sometimes awesome. But what's it called? Yeah, there's 2 of them. It's like the second one I watched, I'm like, have I seen this movie before? This is literally the same plot as the other one. But yeah, DC is way better than Marvel right now, but nobody's talking about that. Like all you heard like 4 years ago was like Marvel is so much better than DC. Now nobody's talking about the fact that DC is just like so much better.
I'm shocked this conversation didn't come up when the Batman came out.
Yeah, well, it kind of did. But
That.
I'm kind of glad it's not like that because I always hate the like Marvel versus DC and like same concept as console wars, like Xbox versus PlayStation. I
Yeah.
just think it's stupid. Even Xbox and PlayStation hate that too. Like they've like supported each other and like said like console wars is stupid, like in their own tweets. But yeah, just like stop complaining and comparing everything. Just enjoy something for what it is. I just think it's interesting that nobody's talking about that. But when it's interesting you mentioned the Batman because when that came out, there were so many TikToks about like what we pointed out earlier is like the Batman's like actually like cinematic and good quality for the MCU is this cookie cutter, sometimes garbage. And there are all these TikToks. It's like what was it? Oh yeah. It's like MCU when the villain appears, it's like we've got company. And there's these other ones that's like he's right behind me, isn't he? And guess what they did in Thor Love and Thunder? He said, he's right behind me, isn't he? They actually used that line. And I don't know if that's Taika Waititi just playing into that. And if it is, I think that's hilarious.
Yeah.
If it's not, I think that's hilariously bad. But also, I really don't care because I think it's hilarious still. Like, I'm not going to discredit Marvel for using that line. I just think it's so funny that they actually did.
Yeah. I didn't even notice that until you had brought it up.
I didn't either. That's why I don't know who said it. I don't know if it was Thor or if it was Jane or Valkyrie. I don't know. But yeah. Also that movie when Korg died, like I didn't believe for a second that he was dead.
No.
Even the Rise of Skywalker was kind of convincing that Chewbacca died, even though they just reversed that in the next scene. For a brief second, maybe. I didn't think they did, but maybe it was a little convincing. But I didn't believe for a second Korg died.
No.
I don't know. It's just like that movie had no stakes, and it's like it's just weird. I mean, it had stakes, but like it's just forgettable already, to be honest, which is bad. I think it's worse than Thor 1, and it's very close, but I think it's worse.
No, I would agree.
I just think Thor 1's hilarious. Thor 1's one of the most underrated movies.
Honestly, I don't think Thor 1 is that bad.
I don't think it's bad at all. I think it's good. I don't think, well, actually, I don't think most people think it's bad. I think most people think it's like okay.
I don't know. I feel like I didn't like it the first time I watched it, but I watched it when it came out for the first time, and then I rewatched it once Loki came out. And I'm like, I don't know why I thought this movie was so bad. Like, it's fine.
we'll get into Thor 1 later during our tier
Yeah.
list. Yeah, MCU just posting game is not that great, but whatever. I didn't feel any emotions really in the movie. Like the whole Jane stuff was good, but like the fact they just brought her back out of nowhere so quickly and she's already just like dying, and it's like
Mhm.
I didn't feel anything. Everything seemed rushed and there's no explanation to make it somewhat interesting, and all I
Yeah.
could think of is Anakin and Padme. So
Mm.
which if you want to talk about emotion, go watch Revenge of the Sith. Woo! Give me all in the feels. Destroys me every time. Go to our TikTok. We have a TikTok about that exact thing, which has got like 30,000 views at this point. So
Yeah.
if you're not one of the 30,000 and you watch these podcasts or listen to them, what are you doing?
Go follow our TikTok.
Oh, TikTok. That's good stuff. We don't post good things on Instagram. In fact, we have the best post we've ever made about Minions. That yesterday I just realized we didn't even post on
No,
Instagram
we did not.
because I totally forgot. Because TikTok is where we post the good stuff. So that's what you get for not following us on TikTok. Anyway. It did start very slow. Thor did.
Yeah.
Very slow. It took a while to get going. It got better, but not that much better.
Yeah.
Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody's complaining that they weren't in it, but I don't want the Guardians of the Galaxy in a Thor movie. I want Thor to,
Yeah.
I want them to explain the Jane, because if Guardians of the Galaxy were in it, that would just like not even give them the chance to explain the whole Jane thing, which
Yeah, I would have overshadowed.
turns out it didn't happen anyway. So maybe it would have been better if the Guardians of the Galaxy were in it, but that just would have been no. I wouldn't have liked that. People are like using that as like a complaint. Like what? No, it's a Thor movie. They have literally have their movie coming out in the next few years. Like,
Yeah. I mean,
that was weird.
I can understand that though, because I remember seeing stuff that's like, oh, the Guardians of the Galaxy are going to be in Thor 4. And like, I remember seeing stuff about it. And then it's like they were in it for about 2 seconds and then we're gone. So I could understand why some people may have been upset about that. But yeah, I agree. It just would have overshadowed the whole Jane situation. And
Yeah, exactly.
it'd be too many
Also,
main characters.
people are complaining about the runtime. People are saying this is like the one MCU movie that needed to be longer. And I don't think that personally. Like, I think the problems this movie has would not have been fixed by adding scenes, because it still would have just been the same like comedy versus like dark plot that just wouldn't have worked well. And
Yeah.
I think giving Gore more screen time would have been a good thing, but I didn't need 20 more minutes. I think just taking out some of the comedy and Thor, Jane, Valkyrie, Korg scenes in place of Gore, or I don't know. It just felt like two different movies. It was weird.
Mm-hmm.
But they had the greatest line in history of cinema. They named a rock Dwayne.
Oh.
Korg's like, what is it? Boyfriend, husband, father to his child, whatever that is. I don't know how rock culture works, but
Rock culture.
his name was Dwayne, which was the funniest thing of all time. We love Dwayne the Rock Johnson here at That Sure Was a Movie. If you don't, get out of here. I just watched the Dwayne the Rock Johnson movie last night. Not all of it. I just caught it was on like part of it. Central Intelligence. That movie's so good. You ever seen that?
No.
With Kevin Hart. It was in 2016. Basically, they went to the same high school. Kevin Hart's character was like the jock, popular kid. And Dwayne Johnson's character is like the guy who always got made fun of and being overweight and stuff. And then now they're grown up and they cross paths again. And obviously Dwayne Johnson's character looks like The Rock. So now he's huge and like jacked. For Kevin Hart, the guy who like had everything in high school is an accountant and is like Kevin Hart, who's like 3 feet smaller than The Rock. And this whole mess with the CIA and everything happens.
Oh gosh.
It's so good.
You know what else? Dwayne the Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart are going to be starring in together.
Oh yeah, we'll talk about that in our new releases. So keep listening if you want to
Oh
find.
yeah.
We're gonna do a little teasing here, so that way you watch more of the podcast. We're not gonna tell
Yeah.
you. You can also skip to the end because our chapters are on YouTube. But if you're on audio, you don't know where it is.
It's a mystery.
So go watch us on YouTube. It's more fun that way. You can see us. Look next to me. Oh, you can't. No, why? Because you're on Spotify. No, I'm just kidding. We really appreciate all you Spotify listeners, and that's probably a better way to listen to a podcast anyway. Because you can drive, you can do whatever doing it. But that's why we have both. So if you're ever interested in a video podcast, go check us out on YouTube.
Yeah.
Got some fun stuff over there. Our editing's been a little better as of late, but now I'm realizing maybe I shouldn't do that editing because like nobody watches their YouTube anymore.
Mm.
We had some real good editing in those early episodes though.
Yeah.
Morbius episode, it might have been the best thing I've ever created.
Was that the one with the Nicole Kidman?
I'm pretty sure that was golden.
Oh my god, that was the best thing that we've ever done in an
Go
episode.
watch our Morbius episode. It's literally so good.
Yes.
Even
Yes.
if you haven't seen Morbius, it's literally so
I'll
good.
watch it. Oh
If
my
you don't find the
god.
Morbius memes funny, go watch our podcast. It's so good. Our
Yeah.
early editing took so long. That's kind of why we
Oh my gosh.
style.
Yeah.
Plus we were always in the same room during those podcasts. Sometimes it's
Yeah.
but anyway, I just think
Moving on.
that's kind of all I had to say about Thor. I wrote down
Yeah.
like a billion notes in my notes app because Maeve wasn't able to see the movie for a while, so I had to remember my thoughts. And if I didn't do this, I wouldn't have had anything to say. Literally
yeah.
did not remember a single thing about this movie.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't really get much into the plot and what I specifically didn't like or dislike that much.
Hmm.
Like I said, kind of did, but I don't know.
Yeah, like I literally saw it like 3 days ago and I don't remember anything.
Yeah, it's whatever.
Already
It was
forgotten
fine.
it.
I enjoyed myself.
Yeah, I thought it was fine, but it's not like
Yeah. But
your top tier memorable Marvel.
yeah, you have anything else to say about Thor? I don't.
No.
Okay, let's move on. Do you want to talk about Miss Marvel before we get into like?
Let's talk about Miss Marvel.
Okay. I don't have as much to say about Thor as I do Miss Marvel, but I don't know. What do you think about Miss Marvel? Let you start on this one.
I enjoyed it. I feel like it got kind of overlooked because Kenobi came out at the same time, and I feel like that's what most of the internet was focused on, which I understand as to why. But I really enjoyed it. The Marvel shows have kept on the same pattern for me where I enjoy one and then the next I don't. So after Moon Knight, which you'll hear more of my thoughts on later, I figured I would enjoy this one and I did. So
yeah. I thought this was a fun little fun show. It was a fun show. It wasn't amazing, but it was very okay. I'll say the first two episodes were my favorite by far.
mhm.
The first two episodes were very like coming of age story, and like the visual style was super cool. With
Yeah.
all like the text on the screen, all the animations. Then it kind of got into the powers. I'm now a superhero thing, which kind of got away from that coming of age type feel to it. So the later episodes, especially the middle two, I think were the weakest. Maybe the middle three or 3 through 5. But it still never made me dislike a single episode. I enjoyed every single episode. Some more than others, especially those first two. I think the coming of age story was a nice change. We were talking about Marvel needs change. It needs
Yeah.
something different. We don't want the MCU formula. And the first two episodes were like, people were comparing it to like a Disney Channel show, which is like, I don't really see that, but I can kind of see where you're coming from, I guess.
Yeah, like maybe a little bit,
Like, it
but
doesn't remind me of a Disney Channel show, but I can like just because it's like coming of age doesn't and involving younger actors doesn't make
right.
it and made by Disney doesn't Disney Channel, but yeah, I can kind of see where those comparisons are coming from. But I think the quality kind of dropped. I didn't really like the whole what's that one? What are those people called? The other people? clandestines.
Yeah.
I didn't really like any of that.
No.
The explanation wasn't very good. It seemed a little Chicken Little to me, which I love Chicken Little.
It's the most random comparison that I was not expecting.
Yeah, there's people from this different world coming to this new one. But
Oh my goodness.
I love Chicken Little. Chicken Little is the most underrated movie of all time. Stop giving it hate.
I haven't seen it in so long. Oh
It's
man.
so good.
I will say there was one thing that I kind of didn't like, but I feel like I understand why they may have done it, is that she got her suit within like the last 5 minutes
Yep.
of the series.
Say that.
And I can understand why, because I feel like this whole season is just introducing her, because she'll be in the Marvels coming out next year, I think.
Yeah, this is
So
that's kind of what all these Disney Plus shows have been, like
yeah.
leading into something else. Now I don't like that the suit was in like the last episode, but had it have kept the coming of age like genre throughout the whole series, then I wouldn't have minded that. But because they got into the powers stuff so early, I would have liked to see the suit earlier, I guess, just because if you're watching a superhero show or movie, you want to see the costume. Come on.
Yeah.
That's what has annoyed me with stuff like that as of late. Like starting with Star Wars The Force Awakens. Like Kylo Ren was such a cool character with his mask on and his voice, and he looked cool. As much as I love Adam Driver, I didn't want to see Adam Driver's face and his long hair fighting Rey and Finn. I wanted to see Kylo Ren. It just makes it so much cooler.
Yeah. And it makes it more intimidating too. Once you see their face, it's like,
why is Darth Vader one of the most iconic villains of all time? It's his suit and his voice.
yeah.
And there's no other reason. Don't tell me there's any other reason.
Yeah.
Before the prequels. Now if you want to say Anakin and his whole storyline, yeah, that's understandable. But no, we're talking about like pre-2000, let's say pre-2000, pre-prequels. Yeah, because his suit and his voice. That's the only reason. Darth Vader was never that intimidating. Okay, he's intimidating. I shouldn't say that. Don't quote me on that. Don't cut that out and say, no, don't use that and take me out of context. Darth Vader is very intimidating in the original trilogy, but he's not like going ham like you see like in modern action stuff. Like, I don't know. Like yeah, like the fight scenes weren't as like choreographed as they are nowadays. People thought he was great because of his look and the sound. Now getting into that, what are some other examples recently? There's so many that I can think of, but I just can't think of any right now besides the Force Awakens, where it's not in their costume at all. I never mind the Spider-Man homemade suit because that's like a classic Spider-Man thing, and that's usually a very short period of time, which Spider-Man does that perfectly. Like in Homecoming, he's got the homemade suit for a little bit, but he had the normal suit for most of the movie. Andrew Garfield had a homemade suit. Tobey Maguire had a homemade suit, but very little of these movies. And Spider-Man does that perfectly.
Now, I don't remember. Did they do that for Moon Knight too? I completely evicted that from my brain, so I don't remember if that happened or not.
Had the costume like at the end of the very first episode, but it's just like that show is so weird. It's like you never knew what was going on. It's like different characters, and it's like sometimes had it and sometimes not. No, Moon Knight actually did a good job with that.
Okay. I couldn't remember. I feel like,
yeah,
I don't know. For some reason in my mind, I had thought that he got a new costume in the last episode or something.
I mean, no, Moon Knight's fine, and because Moon Knight wasn't very like that character is always playing a superhero slash villain. Like there was more to Moon Knight, like with the character itself, so that was okay, even if it wasn't shown that much. But yeah, Miss Marvel, I thought was a fun show. Iman Vellani was great. She's very yeah, she was fun to watch.
Yeah.
Kamala. I will say I hated her mom in the show for so long. She would drive me crazy. Like, come on, stop being so annoying and strict. Let her go to the Marvel Con or whatever. Avenger Con, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Um very very familiar plot lines, which isn't a problem. It's like the typical coming of age, like your parents won't let you do
Yeah.
thing, your parents and all that. Yeah, I thought that was good. Um,
Yeah.
her mom drove me crazy though. And then here's my problem with that. Like I said, I didn't have a problem with like her mom and like being strict and all that, because I guess sure. But then she just like switched up. Once she found out
Yeah.
Kamala was a superhero, she's like, "Oh, you're the superhero." And she's like fangirling over her own daughter. It's like
Yeah.
you
That
were
was a little
literally
strange.
so terrified for her safety about literally everything, and now
Yeah.
she's a superhero, and you're like
Yeah. And she's more at risk for getting hurt and
wanting
like,
her to look
you know,
like what? That didn't
that
seem
was,
very.
yeah.
It didn't seem very cohesive the way they wrote that character. I don't know. It was weird. Now, am I mad about that? No, because I was so mad at her the entire show. I'm like, finally, just I don't care that this doesn't make sense for a character. I'm just glad she's not like that anymore. But also, something like that and being so crazy. And if you're in a world where superheroes exist, maybe things can switch up like that. I mean, who knows? But I like the dad a lot too. The dad was pretty cool. Um, he was funny in the first couple episodes. Um, but yeah, those first two episodes were just like a lot better than the rest of the series, and it's turned into MCU formula like it always does.
Yeah.
And people complain about the CGI and her powers. It didn't look great, but like it didn't take me out of the show like everybody was saying.
No.
Like,
It's not nearly as bad as the first trailer for She-Hulk, that's for sure.
yeah, I was gonna mention She-Hulk and Moon Knight. So Miss Marvel, the CGI was bad, but the CGI was bad, or the CGI for these like magical superpowers were bad. And people are saying it didn't look realistic. What do you mean it doesn't look realistic? What are powers? What do you mean realistic?
They're not gonna look realistic because they're not real.
What? Okay, now we're talking about She-Hulk and Moon Knight. Now, She-Hulk, obviously, She-Hulk isn't normal in our world, but it still is a human and it just looks computerized.
Yeah.
Moon Knight took real objects like trees. Do you remember the scene where they were driving and the trees like fell down on the road off the cliff? That was in the first episode. You probably don't, just
know.
because you didn't.
Yeah.
If you didn't notice the CGI in that specific moment, you wouldn't have, because it's not like an important scene. But it looked so bad. Like the trees falling, it just
I'll
looked
look this up.
so bad. And that's a tree. I know what a tree looks like. I know what a tree is supposed to look like. I know it's something falling down a cliff onto a road with cars. I know what cars look like. And the CGI was so bad, you could tell they didn't film a single thing on location. And if
Yeah.
they did something to it to make it look like it wasn't. But it was just so bad. And that's nobody talked about that. Yet they're talking about superpowers not looking realistic. I mean, not
Yeah.
everybody used the word realistic. A lot of people just said bad. But even then, it's still, who cares? Who
Yeah.
cares? It's superpowers. It's not gonna feel real. Like bad CGI, in my opinion, bad CGI, it's not, I shouldn't say always, or not, I shouldn't say only matters when it's something that's like trying to be realistic using CGI, but that's when it matters the most. And anything else that's like not of our world, or it's like using magic or something like that, if it doesn't look super like convincing, then I can get over it, because like I'm already like changing my views because of what world I'm watching. Like,
Yeah. Disney and their CGI this year with like Disney series has been interesting.
yeah, I mean,
Not only and not just with the Marvel shows either, but like the one of the things that I think of is like we talked about it in the Kenobi episode with how they didn't de-age Hayden Christensen in the Attack of the Clones like flashback.
Yeah, we talked about that like in our other
And
episode.
that's just it's just interesting how
Lazy.
it's yeah, like with Mandalorian, they were able to like completely remake young
Like
Luke Skywalker, but then
yeah,
all the CGI just went so far downhill after
here's
that.
kind of where I'm with CGI. Like we've been talking about CGI, and it's like I really don't care that much. Um, like it doesn't take me out of the show. If the plot is good, couldn't care less about CGI. But when you're Disney, you have the money, the resources, the time,
Mhm.
the people
Yeah.
to make something look okay.
Yeah, and when you've like proved that you can do it,
Yeah,
like
something as simple as de-aging Hayden Christensen 20 years
mhm.
when he doesn't look old anyway. He looks exactly the same, just a little bit older. Um, and you just don't. That's just
Mhm.
lazy. Like, what are you
Yeah.
doing? Like, especially the little amount that he was in it.
Mhm.
Anakin was barely in the show,
Yeah.
basically for one episode.
Even
And
then it was for like 2 minutes.
yeah, like literally had
Like,
like 2 minutes of screen time. Like
come on, Disney.
weird. And like the whole Mandalorian finale, season 2 finale with Luke Skywalker,
Mhm.
like it didn't take me out of it, but it's like you could have done better. People like Corridor Crew came out with a video on YouTube
Yeah.
a week later and like made it look amazing. And then they ended up
Yeah.
hiring those guys. Lucasfilm ended up hiring one of the guys from that who did that. And then Boba Fett, you see Luke and he looks a lot better now.
Yeah.
Um, but even that, like you can get Mark Hamill. I know they used another actor to kind of help with that, but they
Mhm.
still use kind of Mark Hamill to be there. Um, to look that young. That's like 40 years.
Yeah.
You can't make Hayden Christensen look a little younger. Like
Yeah.
Hayden Christensen is not aged that badly. And it's 20 years, but it's honestly probably more like 10 years, honestly. I don't know. I mean, I guess it's you can kind of tell. But yeah, it's just weird.
Mhm.
Marvel CGI, Disney's CGI. Well, it's all been
Yeah.
weird.
I don't know
Um,
what's going on with them.
yeah, I don't know. But another interesting thing about Miss Marvel, going back to Miss Marvel, they changed her powers from the comics. She was basically had the same powers as Mr. Fantastic.
Mm.
Just stretch her hands, stuff like that. And they just changed it to be like this, like I keep using the word magic. I don't want to use that word, but I literally can't think of another word.
Yeah.
Like
I don't
that
know how to describe it.
that
Like,
kind of power, like Miss Marvel type stuff. Like that's not like super strength or something normal. It's like very like out of this world, I'll say. I don't know. But it was weird. It was interesting. I don't care. Um, but it is interesting. Like, why would they do that? I know it's because they want to include her in the Marvels and give them all somewhat of similar powers.
well, I mean,
But
aren't they like rebooting Fantastic Four or something?
yeah,
Maybe it's just to make sure she's not like a different version of Mr. Fantastic.
I guess, but
So
like,
people aren't like they have the same powers. It's just lazy or I don't know.
but like, obviously they wanted to make this show to pay respects to a comic that doesn't
Mhm.
get talked about by anybody. But they're just like changing up the comic, which was kind of weird, but also I really don't care.
Yeah.
Like I don't care at all, but it's like it is a little weird, I guess.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. The show didn't feel complete to me. I, it kind of did, but it like kind of just like ended and like I know it was like leading into the Marvels, obviously.
Mhm.
Um, but I feel like something just felt off. I don't know if it's just like the way it just like shifted from coming of age to just MCU. That's probably what it
Mhm.
was, but I don't know. But apparently, she's a mutant. So I don't know
Mm.
what the deal with that is.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is she gonna be tied into X-Men somehow? Probably not. Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver also mentioned as mutants and Age of Ultron, so probably not gonna have anything. But it's interesting they use that line kind of to tease that, I guess. Um, but in the comics, she's not a mutant, so
Hmm.
interesting. I don't know. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see all this X-Men, and then they're doing the Fantastic Four, like you just mentioned. Which, speaking of Fantastic Four, I think they might be releasing the cast and the director
Oh.
23, which I believe
Oh,
is
that is coming up soon, isn't it?
September, I think.
Ooh. We'll be having a lot of movie news then in
So
September.
that's interesting, and all these fan castings are coming back. Uh,
Yeah.
I don't think I want John Krasinski as Mr. Fantastic.
Hmm.
We didn't do a Doctor Strange episode, but I wasn't a fan of him, to be honest. I thought it was super cool for that moment, but something felt off. Like his delivery. I don't know, just it didn't work for me. I don't know what it was. He had barely any screen time. It just felt weird. I've seen some fan castings that I would totally be on board for. I can't remember any of them right now, but also some interesting ones the last couple of days because people are starting to do that again. But we'll see where that goes. I really don't have much of an opinion on the Fantastic Four because I never really cared much for those, or never. Not that I didn't care, I just never watched or read comics about Fantastic.
Yeah. I've seen the two movies and
Yeah, I
that's
don't know.
about it.
To be honest, somebody mentioned, what if they bring Chris Evans back for Fantastic Four?
That'd be hilarious.
That'd be kind of hilarious. Bring
He gave up the he gave up the title of Captain America to go back to being the Human Torch.
okay, but I saw this fan casting. It was a joke, but um yeah, somebody fan casted Bertram from Jesse as the Thing. It was a joke, but
Kevin Chamberlain. Is that who it is?
So,
Oh my gosh.
I would totally be down for either Bertram or Gustavo Rock from Big Time Thing. That would be so funny.
My goodness.
But bring Michael B. Jordan back.
Mm.
Um,
Hopefully we'll be getting a trailer for that for the new Black Panther movie soon. That just made me think of it.
yeah, that'll be something. I
I
that's
don't know what to think about it. Like,
yeah, Black Panther is gonna be interesting. There's been
Mm.
obviously the Chadwick Boseman situation, but even like Shuri, the whole drama with
yeah,
what's her name, with Teeter Ray or something. You have the
yeah,
vaccine and her just like not being allowed on set or not going to set. I don't know, something with that.
yeah.
And everybody's like, recast Shuri now. And there's always the debate, should you recast Black Panther? So it'll be interesting how they write it.
Yeah, I
We
don't know
know
what to
nothing.
expect.
We know nothing about this. And
We got a title. That's about it. Title and release month, and
yeah, so
that's all.
we're gonna get a Wakanda show too, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so that'll be even more to deal with. All right, well, that's kind of what I think about Miss Marvel. I thought it was good. Not the best thing ever, but it's better than most Marvel shows.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else to say about Miss Marvel?
No, not really. Probably ranks mid as far as Marvel shows go.
Yeah,
Significantly better than Moon Knight, but yeah.
significantly. We will
Yeah.
get to that when we talk about the tier list.
Yeah. Which
Wait,
our episode has run seemingly longer than we expected it to.
yeah,
So
which is a good thing, I guess.
yeah. Yeah.
But yeah,
So
I think we're gonna go ahead and not do the tier list this episode.
yeah, I
Unfortunately,
think we'll save that for a episode completely by itself, and we'll do both of our tier lists with all 29 MCU movies as well as the Disney Plus original series.
so I know we've mentioned that we're saving certain discussion topics for the tier list.
They'll just have to
So
tune in.
we will get to that. We will not forget to talk about it because we're talking about everything MCU. So that will be coming out later this week. By the time you watch this, it's probably already out. I don't know, but I don't know when you'll watch this. So if it's
Could be watching this a year from now. If so, then it's definitely out.
if it's there, great. If it's not there, it'll definitely be out
Soon.
the next couple days or few days. But we will get to our thoughts on that. So let's just kind of move into our upcoming releases. What's coming out
Yes.
next week, Maeve?
Alrighty. So we are kind of winding down with summer releases as August is coming up. So yeah, over the next 2 weeks, we have 3 larger releases, I would say, coming out. The biggest one being Nope, coming out on the 22nd, which is this Friday when we're recording it. New Jordan Peele movie. I'm intrigued to see how it's going to be. I've enjoyed his last 2 movies, so we'll see how this one is.
I will say I'm a little worried for Nope. I love Get Out. I think Us is really good. The Nope trailer, not a single trailer has done anything for me. I don't think it looks interesting at all. The only thing I'm not like worried too much for is because they haven't really shown any like they kind of showed a plot, but like we still don't know what's happening, like what is there that they're kind of talking about. So there's a lot of explanation and things that'll be revealed that we haven't seen yet, which is exciting. That's what I love in a trailer. Just nothing else in the trailer kind of stood out as great to me.
Right.
But I trust Jordan Peele. I've loved everything. Pretty much everything he's done. Get Out, Us. The few episodes of the new Twilight Zone that I've seen were good. I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people say that show wasn't that great, but I enjoyed the episodes I watched. I only saw a couple, so.
I meant to watch that and I never did.
Yeah, I watched the one. I think it's kind of a remake of an original Twilight Zone episode. There's one on the plane with Adam Scott. I thought that one was really good. But what else has he done? Obviously, Key and Peele. He's hilarious. But obviously, everything he's made since then is completely different. But still, the artistic side of him, I've loved everything. So, I'm excited. We'll see how it is.
Yeah. In addition to that, we mentioned it earlier, July 29th, DC League of Super Pets, starring Dwayne The Rock Johnson and Kevin Hart.
Yeah, that'll be interesting.
I probably will not be there for that one.
Yeah, I don't know. That's one of those movies that's like, well, if it gets good reviews, then maybe. Just because it's got because of the cast. That's the only reason.
Yeah. I think I've seen the trailer too many times in the movie theater that I'm like, I just want it to be out so I don't have to hear about it anymore. That was kind of the same with Paws of Fury, The Legend of Hank, which is now out, and I don't have to see the trailer again.
Yeah.
Well,
I haven't heard a single thing about that movie yet. So
no, I've just heard that it's like an animated Blazing Saddles. So I don't know. I'm not the biggest fan of that movie, so I don't think I'll find myself going to see it.
Never.
But it's okay. I mean, I got no opinion on it. Also July 29th, we have BJ Novak's new movie Vengeance coming out.
Ooh, I am excited for that one, actually.
I'm excited for that one. I feel like it's just going to be like Only Murders in the Building, but put into a movie form is kind of what the plot seems like.
Yeah, kind of. I've heard like the super early reviews that came out like a couple weeks ago weren't like amazing, but I really don't care. It'll probably be fine, but not amazing. But I like BJ Novak, so
yeah.
And Issa Rae, is that who's in it? Yeah, I like her too. So
yeah,
that'll be good.
Other than that, that's pretty much all we got for like the next 2 weeks, I think, unless you can think of anything else.
Obviously Marcel the Shell with shoes on has kind of been weird. I'm still upset about that. I need to see that movie. I don't know what's going on with that. A24, do better. Get your movies in theaters. Like, what are you doing?
Honestly, like we're based in Indiana and there's like one theater showing it, and they have like 3 days where they're showing it, and it's not an AMC, which kind of sucks. But
Yeah, it's I don't know. I hope I can see it. But
yeah,
this isn't coming out. Well, it is technically new episodes every week. Nathan Fielder's The Rehearsal.
mm,
Um, Nathan Fielder from Nathan For You. If you haven't seen Nathan For You, go watch Nathan For You. It's one of the best shows ever made.
good stuff.
The Rehearsal episode 1 is really cool. Like, basically, he's doing Synecdoche, New York in real life, where he has these people who have like actors playing themselves, and Nathan is rehearsing every single scenario, like, or with these people. So it's kind of hard to describe, to be honest. He's
Mm,
like recreating these places. So that way he puts them into the scenario. So that way when this event actually happens, they've already rehearsed how it's going to go. So they know how it's going to go.
oh, that
And
sounds
like
good.
the art direction and stuff is crazy because they're recreating these places like
Huh.
perfectly. It's so cool.
I'm intrigued. I'll have to check it out.
It's not as much as like a comedy as like the other ones, but anything with Nathan is gonna have like its funny moments.
Yeah.
It's like every moment, his type of comedy is like just
Yeah.
everyday stuff. Just is funny because of the way he is. But
Yeah.
that show's great.
Yeah.
Something that I just saw that came up on my phone. Steven Spielberg is directing his first music video
Yeah.
shot
For
on an iPhone.
Mumford and Sons, wasn't it? Or
It said something Mumford, which I assume is a Mumford and Sons
yeah, I
person.
don't know. I saw that earlier and I was like, it's
Yeah.
interesting.
Why is Steven Spielberg shooting on an iPhone? Like, why would he do that?
I don't
Like,
know.
is Apple like sponsoring this or something and making him do it for like the cinematic camera they have now?
I don't know. There'll be an ad coming out in like 3 months.
Yeah,
It's like, look at what you can make on the new
and
iPhone 15. And
the
like,
end of the music video is gonna say like shot on iPhone, like those
yeah,
commercials, the promos they used to
yeah,
do.
yeah,
That actually,
exactly.
I hope they do that. That would be really funny.
That would be iconic.
Yeah. Okay. That's basically all I have for upcoming releases. I can't think of anything else. There's probably some other things, but
Yeah, I can't think of anything else.
Disney Plus coming out.
Zombies 3 just came out. That's about all I can think of.
We were on a stretch, honestly, since like WandaVision, of like every single week there's been something Marvel or DC or Marvel or Star Wars.
Yeah.
I can't even think of the next thing that's coming out. We have Andor coming out somewhat soon.
Yeah. There's gonna be the Lego Star Wars summer vacation special.
Big movie right there. I love the Lego stuff. Um, yeah, I thought we'd see. But yeah, that's all I can think of. Marvel, do better. Do better. Come on. Phase 4 is just
Yeah.
boring. I actually really loved Shang-Chi until it
Mhm.
felt a little too MCU towards the end, but I didn't really have a problem with that. I enjoyed Eternals, only because it was doing something different and it did look cinematic.
Mhm.
And Chloe Zhao knows how to make a movie with good cinematography and stuff. Um, yeah, the plot wasn't as good as a lot of those Marvel movies, but I thought it was good enough and it looked amazing. And I saw it in Dolby, which made it look even better. And
Mhm.
I loved the cast, and I loved Druig, Barry Keoghan, and I loved I can never think of his name, Paperboy, from Atlanta, Brian Tyree Henry, is that his name?
I don't know.
Really hope that's his name. I always think if that's his name, but then I feel like it's always wrong. I don't know. I'm sorry if I got your name wrong. I need to learn your name because I love this kid, but I'm excited. He's gonna be in that movie with Brad Pitt, the train one.
Oh, Bullet Train.
Bullet Train, which I don't know how I feel about it. It looks interesting, but I like the cast.
I will say one more interesting thing about Thor is I wonder if Marvel knew it was gonna flop or not flop, but like be a disappointment because I had mentioned that I was gone for like a week, but oops, I dropped something. I was at Disney World this past week, and there was more advertisement for Zombies 3 than there was for the release weekend of Thor,
Hmm.
which I thought was very interesting.
Well, here's the thing with that. Unless there's some weird contract issues with Marvel and what they can and can't, like the amount of stuff they can do. But I think Disney, I think what it is, like, I mean, they own Thor, so like there shouldn't be an issue there.
Right.
Like technically, there's like a rule where they're not allowed to have any theme park attractions related to Marvel on the east of the Mississippi River or something like that.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't have the Avengers campus thing at Disney World, which they do at Disneyland. So I don't think merchandising has anything to do with that. Because I know, like with Sony stuff, like Spider-Man, like Sony gets all the like film profits, where Marvel gets all the merchandising. So I don't think that would be an issue, just because of that contract is pretty much like that. But I wonder if that has anything to do with it. Probably not.
I don't know. I just thought it was interesting that it was like the
But
day
I'll
that
say-
Marvel was releasing a new blockbuster, there's like no advertising for it anywhere.
Yeah. Well, I guess that kind of wraps up everything.
Yeah,
We didn't get to a tier list, but we will.
we will. It will
Make
happen.
that soon. So be on the lookout. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on TikTok.
That's where all the good stuff is.
Everything
Out.
that you want to see is on TikTok. We don't show everything on Instagram. We don't show actually anything on Instagram.
Nope.
We show our highlights of the episodes, but we don't post our fun little videos that we post on TikTok. So go follow us there. But I hope you enjoyed listening to our reviews of Thor and of Miss Marvel. If you disagree, because you like them a lot more than us, I'm glad. I'm always glad when somebody likes something that I don't like. If you disagree because you think these are garbage and we're being too easy on it, well, you're fine, whatever. But anyway, I guess that's it. So tune in to our next episode where we will do a tier list. Watch our previous episodes. We have done what have we done recently? Diary of a Kid episode. Go watch that one. That one's fun.
Yeah.
That's a fun one.
Yeah.
We've done a
Stranger
review,
Things,
Kenobi, we've done
Kenobi.
Lightyear. It's kind of the recent ones.
Yeah.
So go check those out. Fun little videos, episodes.
If you're wanting a tier list, we did a Pixar one on the Lightyear episode. So
Yes,
check
tier
that
lists.
out.
Those were my favorite ones to do. So
They're fun.
yeah. So if you're listening on audio, I guess you're not missing out. So sorry if you transferred to YouTube just for that. I apologize. We weren't expecting this, but next time, if you're on audio, watch it on YouTube. It might be more fun that way. You can see where we're putting everything and you can see it all together. But anyway, thank you for listening and tune in to our next episode. Goodbye.